Session 8.2 Hypothesis Test about a Population Proportion. These sessions will be working on the hypothesis testing about a population proportion. First, we need to know how to check the conditions. Sample has to be random and independent. Second, large sample size. We need to get at least 10 success and 10 failures. Number 3, large populations. Population is at least 10 times bigger than the sample size if the sample is collected without replacement. So we're gonna plug into this formula. Sample size times 10 less than or equal to the n. N will be the population size at least 10 times larger than the sample size. The condition is really similar to chapter 7 when you're working on confidence interval for population proportion. Okay, performing hypothesis test for a proportion. When we're working on the proportion, we'll be using the Z distribution. Okay, Z distribution. So first, you need to verify the conditions. Okay, we do have a 4 condition for the hypothesis testing for proportion. Second, state the null and alternate hypothesis. For the null hypothesis, we are working on the proportion for these sessions. So we're gonna using the P here. You could use the equal, or you can have equal, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Either one. Okay, either use this guy or either one of this. That would be your null hypothesis. And then alternate hypothesis, that will be not equal to, strictly greater than, and strictly less than. And remember that we talked about from the session 8.1. The null and alternate hypothesis, that will be the complementary, right? It can be take everything. Another way to say that will be opposite to each other, right? Equal, not equal to. Less than or equal to, then this guy will be strictly greater than. Okay, that will be your alternate hypothesis. When we're working on not equal to, that will be two tail. Greater than, that will be right tail. Less than, that will be left tail. Okay, right? We were on this part from the previous session. And then compute the test statistic. We'll be working on the proportion with the Z distribution. So you're gonna see our test statistic will be using the Z. Equal to the P hat, that will be the sample proportion. Sometimes the question will be given. If not, you need to find it by yourself. Use this formula. P hat equal to the X over N. X is talking about the number of success divided by the sample size. And then the P here, that will be exactly the same with your null hypothesis. What you have the value in here, that will be your P. Step 4, compute the P value and interpret the P value. After you find the test statistic, we'll be using the test statistic to find the P value. Depends on which tail test you are working on it. Okay, but the idea, that will be the normal CDF, lower value, upper value. After you find the P value, you're gonna compare with your significance level, right? When it's a less than or equal to, the significance level will be reject. Okay, reject the null hypothesis. And then we believe alternate hypothesis will be true. But if your P value is gonna be greater than your significance level, then that will be fail to reject. Fail to reject means we do not have a sufficient evidence to support your alternate hypothesis. Okay, step 5. State a conclusion. Once you're done, based on your step 4 here, you reject or fail to reject, you're gonna state the conclusion. If we have a reject null hypothesis, we're gonna say there is sufficient evidence to support the alternate hypothesis. But if you have a fail to reject, then you're gonna say there is not sufficient evidence to support the alternate hypothesis. Sometimes you may need to review your null and alternate hypothesis to state the conclusion. Okay, it has to be make sense for your conclusion. Now, let's try the first example. Suppose a poll of 250 randomly select voters in a city found that 140 of them favor increased funding for public libraries. Based on this poll, could we conclude that a majority of voters in this city, more than 50%, favor increased funding for the public libraries? Use a significance level of 0.01. After you guys with these questions, they never mention about the mean or standard deviation. So you're gonna know we are working on proportion. Okay, so verify the conditions. We'll be assuming this is gonna be the simple, random, and independent. Second, large sample size. So we need to calculate it like n times your p here. Okay, do they given the sample size? We do have 250 for your sample size, right? And the p here, this is talking about more than 50%. So we do have an n times the p, which is gonna be equal to 125 and greater than 10. This is good. We have at least 10 success. Now we're gonna calculate n times 1 minus p. 1 minus p, this is talking about the failures. Okay? Use your calculator. You should get the same thing, 125, which is gonna be greater than 10. So this is good. We do have a large sample size. And then large populations. Okay, we plug it in, n times 10 less than or equal to the population size n here, which is gonna be 2,500. Okay, now we're gonna state the nodes and alternate hypothesis. First, you can write down the original claim. This is not necessary. If you can handle it, you could just skip this part. So original claim, you're gonna look at the claim statement. We conclude that a majority of voters in this city, more than 50%, favor increased funding for public libraries. So we're gonna know we are working on the proportion and increased funding. So we could write it like P strictly greater than 0.5. Since we do have a strictly greater than, that is talking about the alternate hypothesis. So what is your null hypothesis? That would be opposite of this guy. So that would be less than or equal to 0.5. You also can write down your null hypothesis P equal to 0.5. And that would be Whitetail test. Okay, now we will compute the test statistic. We do have the formula here, and we need to figure out what is your p hat. So we do have the formula x over n here. X, that's talking about the number of success divided by the sample size. So number of success, this is gonna be your n, right? N equal to 250. And it say in the city found that 140 of them favor increased funding for public libraries. So 140, that will be the number of success. So divided, you're gonna get 0.56. Now we have the p hat, and what is your p? P, you could go back to look at your null hypothesis, which is gonna be equal to 0.5. So plug it in. If you guys use your calculator, make sure you put the parenthesis here. Okay, the whole thing here divided by square root of the whole thing here. You should get 1.897. Okay, let me show you guys with the calculator. Okay, on your calculator, I'm gonna put parenthesis 0.56 minus 0.5 close parenthesis divided by square root. Square root gonna be here. So second, this guy, square root of 0.5 parenthesis 1 minus 0.5 close parenthesis, and then divided by 250. Make sure the square root is gonna be including the 250 as well. Enter. You're gonna get 1.897. Okay, now after we find the test statistic, we'll be use the test statistic to find the p-value. And then for the alternate hypothesis, we know that this is gonna be the whitetail test. Okay, so I do have the picture with the whitetail. And my test statistic, that will be 1.897 in here. So p-value, talking about the area of the whitetail. So how can you find this area? We will be using normal CDF, lower value, upper value, right? And this is gonna be the standard normal. So the mean equal to 0, standard deviation, that will be equal to 1. Okay, so you're gonna go second VAS, normal CDF, so 1.897, and then 1E99. Keep in mind the E, you will be using the comma, the double E here. So second, comma, 99. Mean will be 0, standard deviation will be equal to 1, and then place. So you're gonna get 0.0289. That will be our p-value. And then we're gonna use the p-value to compare with your significance level. So 0.02, that will be strictly greater than 0.01. So when it's greater than, that will be fail to reject. So now we're gonna draw the conclusion. Fail to reject. So go back to here. Fail to reject the null hypothesis. So we're gonna say there is not sufficient evidence to conclude the alternate hypothesis is gonna be true. Okay? So you need to know how to write down your conclusion. There is not sufficient evidence to support the claim that you're gonna copy the claim statement here. A majority of voters in this city favor increased funding for public libraries. Okay, here it will be the instruction how to use your TI-84 calculator to find out the test statistic and also the p-value. So let's do it together. Click on the stat, go to the test. You're gonna go to 1 population, proportion, C distribution, hypothesis testing. Okay, this is the one talking about the 1 populations. For the next chapter, we'll be introduced 2 populations. Okay, so we will have the P, which is gonna be 0.5. And then X, we do have a 140. And N, that will be 250. And then we do have the whitetail. Okay, go to calculate. So you're gonna see we do have the test statistic 1.897. And then we have the p-value 0.0289. Also, the p-hat, the sample proportion, that will be 0.56. Okay, we have the 0.56 in here. Okay, right? Make sure you guys know how to use your calculator to check your work in the exam. Okay, example 2. I want you guys try to do it by yourself. Verify the conditions. We do have a three conditions. Okay, check your work. Sample is random and independent. And then we do have a large sample size. We need to have at least 10 success. So figure out those numbers. In a survey of 155 senior executives, 49% say that the most common job interview mistake is to have a little or no knowledge of the company. Okay, so N, that will be the sample size, 155. And 49%, this is referring the 155. So this is going to be your sample proportion. And then test the claim that in the population of all senior executives, 45% say that the most common job interview mistake is to have a little or no knowledge of the company. So this 45% talking about the population proportion, okay, which is going to be your P here. So we do have a 155 times 0.45. You should get this number, which is going to be greater than 10. And then we're going to find the number of failures. Okay, plug in those numbers. You're going to get 85.25, which is going to be greater than 10. Number 3, large population. The population is at least 10 times of the sample size, right? So we do have a N, which is 155 times 10. So the population is at least 1,550. Okay, now state the null and alternate hypothesis. Before that, try to write down the original claim. So original claim, look at the claim statement here. 45% say that the most common job interview mistake is to have a little or no knowledge of the company. Okay, which is talking about the proportion is no knowledge. So we could think about like not equal to. Okay? And not equal to, that will be your alternate hypothesis. So what is your null hypothesis? Opposite of this guy, that will be equal to. And then we do have two-tailed tests. Okay, now find the test statistic. I want you guys try, plug it in, and find out what is your test statistic. Okay, check your work. You should get 1.001. And then we do have a two-tailed test. Okay, 1.001, that will be on your white tail. P-value will be your area of your left tail plus your white tail. Okay, but right now we do have the test statistic on here. Okay, so we're gonna use the test statistic to figure out the white tail area. And then we're gonna be multiplied by 2. That will be equal to your p-value. So that will be normal CDF, lower value 1.001, upper value 1E99. And then you're gonna be multiplied by 2, okay, including the left tail. That will be equal to your p-value. Use your calculator. You're gonna get 0.3168. And we're gonna compare with your significance level. So obviously p-value is really big. It has to be greater than the significance level. That will be fail to reject the null hypothesis. There is not sufficient evidence to support the claim that, and then you're gonna copy the claim statement. 45% say that the most common job interview mistake is to have little or no knowledge of the company. Okay, last example. Try, do it by yourself. Verify the condition. State the null and alternate hypothesis. Okay, check your word. Simple random sample and independent, right? Large sample size. So what is your N here? What is your P? So sample size, that will be random sample of 943. Okay, and then we have 63% of the Americans. So this is a population proportion. So that is greater than 10. And then at least 10 failures. So do the same thing. You're gonna get 348.91, which is gonna be greater than 10. Okay, last condition. Large populations. The population is at least 10 times of the sample size. So that's good. Okay, state the null and alternate hypothesis. The original claim, do we have evidence that support of the death penalty has declined among Americans since 2009? So first, we are working on the proportion. So the P will be less than 0.63. And strictly less than, that will be the alternate hypothesis. So what is your null hypothesis? That will be opposite of this guy, which is going to be greater than or equal to. Or you guys can state the null hypothesis that will be equal to. And that will be left tail test. Okay, find the test statistic. Before that, we need to figure out what is the sample proportion. Okay, so you find X, that will be 538. Because 538 support the death penalty, and which is gonna be equal to our claim statement here. So this is gonna be the number of success. You should get 0.5705. And then find the test statistic. Plug it in, all those numbers. Use your calculator. You should get negative 3.78. And then we have the left tail test. Okay, so left tail test, that will be here, negative 3.78. Find out the p-value. P-value will be the area of the left tail. So that will be normal CDF, Lower value will be negative 1E99 and negative 378. That will be the upper value. Okay? Use your calculator. You should get this number. Okay, let me show you guys with the calculator. Okay, so you're gonna do second VAS, normal CDF, lower value negative 1E99, and then upper value negative 3.78, 01, and then place. Okay, so you're gonna see that will be 7.844, and then that's a E negative 5 in here. This is the scientific notation. Okay, talking about 7.844 times 10 to the power of negative 5. If we write it out, talking about your decimal space, gonna be moving to the left 5 decimal space. So from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's called negative 5 in here. So the p-value is really, really small numbers. When we have the small p-value, we do have a strong evidence to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so this guy obviously strictly less than 0.05, which is going to be reject the null hypothesis. And then draw the conclusion. There is sufficient evidence to support for the death penalty has declined among Americans since 2009. That's it.